get it sparked up, my zeal and been ignited. We better off united, but they got us all divided. Who decided that our best option was a riot? Since 1969, we quiet loud, we won't be quiet. My people destroyed, my soul vexed, it's hard to better pain. Teach the Jews are black, cause they whitewash everything. We the sheep, led by wolves behind a pulpit. Living in vanity, Christianity is bullshit. They go to extreme measures to keep us blinded, or keep us minded through the drugs that make us docile and simple-minded. They got us worshiping the white Jesus. It's really Caesar, the oppressor, the devil, cause they the real deceiver, spreading they lies and they philosophies. They come and bow before the priest, lick up the dust from my feet, fulfill prophecy. It's got to be bloodshed before it's peace. We in the streets to continue to teach against the mark of the beast. It's time to rise. Open your eyes and realize you're sacrificing your lives for the mark of the beast. That's why the priests go on the streets and cry aloud and spare not when we teach against the mark of the beast. It's time to rise. Open your eyes and realize you're sacrificing your lives for the mark of the beast. That's why the priests go on the streets and cry aloud and spare not when we teach against the mark of the beast. Raped, robbed, and murdered, stripped from our culture. Why the fuck you choose to be faggots instead of being soldiers? It's over for these crackers, I swear. They can never be trusted. They smooth words will have you trapped in the snare. Can't forget about you perpetrators. Y'all niggas haters and purples and snitching like private investigators. You fucking cowards don't know shit about work. With them fringes on your t-shirt, looking like bitches in skirts. Y'all can't even keep our sisters safe. Just let them die by the hands of our enemies. I hate this wicked place. And don't provoke the Lord to anger. We follow as strangers down a path of imminent wrath and danger. And Babylon's for sure getting wiped out. And when you see Yahweh shine, them angels come with them chariots. It's lights out, life's about war in these streets. And it can never be peace until these devils decease. Because the mark of the beast. It's time to rise. Open your eyes and realize you're sacrificing your lives for the mark of the beast. That's why the priests go on the streets and cry aloud and spare not when we teach against the mark of the beast. It's time to rise. Open your eyes and realize you're sacrificing your lives for the mark of the beast. That's why the priests go on the streets and cry aloud and spare not when we teach against the mark of the beast. It's time to rise. Open your eyes and realize you're sacrificing your lives for the mark of the beast. That's why the priests go on the streets and cry aloud and spare not when we teach against the mark of the beast.
All right, let's clap it up. Shalom, Israel. We are the Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge, started out of 1 West 125th Street, Harlem, New York, where we are led by the amazing Commanding General YAHANNA. And since 1969, we've been teaching so-called Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans the truth about this Bible, man. We've been teaching the truth that Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans are the true chosen people according to the Bible, the true God's chosen people. According to the Bible, we are the Israelites, and we've been teaching that this book is for us, man. This is the Port Arthur Beaumont Wednesday Law class. The title of today's class is marriage. Well, it's not marriage laws, but today we're going to be getting into marriage laws. The title of today's class is what marriage is according to the law of God. And that's what we're going to be getting into today, because in the law class, we give the breakdowns of the law, because the laws of this book, the Holy Bible, the holy means holy is a derivative from the Greek, the Hebrew word quadash, which means set apart. And Bible is a derivative from the Latin word biblos, which means records. So Holy Bible translates to separate records, man. This Bible is the separate records for Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. This is our book. This is our guide to how to rule the world. And it also has it has times where we failed, not necessarily failed, but it shows our relationship with our power, the Most High, and it shows times where we were in captivity and times we were in rulership. It pretty much the scriptures themselves say that. everything. These things are written. The things that are written aforetime are written for our knowledge, and this book has been written so that Blacks, Hispanics, Native Americans will have the knowledge to be able to live righteously and inherit the kingdom of heaven. So, getting into today's topic, marriage. It is the law class, so we're gonna break down we're gonna give the breakdowns on the law according to the Bible. The law is for the Israelites, by the way, too. The law is not. This is our law. This is our book, and this is our culture. So that means these are our laws. These laws are written for us to be a wise and understanding people, to be set apart, like I just said, to be set above all nations above the earth, like it says in Deuteronomy 7:6. The law, statutes, and commandments is following the law, statutes, and commandments is how to show the Most High you love Him, and the Most High. When you show the Most High you love Him, the Most High, the Lord will be with you. When you're with the Lord will be with you. And when He has your back, that's when you're on all top, when you're set above all nations of the earth. But as far as marriage laws, in this wicked society we're in today, in captivity and under the oppressor, we see that marriage, what I'm saying, there's marriage. We tend to think that marriage is just a bond between two people, because in this wicked society we have same-sex marriage. I think I've been hearing some things about pedophilia, like in some states that children of the age of 10 can be able to be in a relationship with an older person. So that's just the way that this society is. It's a wicked society. But marriage to be married is to have sex with somebody, not somebody, but a woman. It's a bond between a man and a woman. I'm gonna look it up using the Zondervan the Zondervan Compact Bible Dictionary. This is a good tool to have when studying the Bible, because it gives you the definition of the words, how they were used in the Bible. So I'm using the Zondervan Compact Bible Dictionary, and I'm looking up the word marriage. Marriage is an intimate personal union to which a man and woman consent, consummated and continuously nourished by sexual intercourse, and perfected in a lifelong partnership of mutual love and commitment. Okay, key words in this description. It says marriage is an intimate personal union to which a man and women. So you can't be of the same sex. You can't be married, even though in this day and age, you think marriage is all about paperwork and court papers and getting half of all of the belongings of an individual, and pretty much we're married because we went to court, the courtroom, and we went to town hall and we got it on paper. We're married, and same-sex people can marry, and whoever wants to marry, a mother and a son can marry if they want. No, I'm gonna get into that later. It's incest, because incest is also against the law. But this is an intimate personal union to which a man and woman consent. That meaning that they're both parties are willing to make the union. It's not. I'm gonna get into rape later too. But rape is against the law. So both man and woman consent and consummated. Consummation is the completion of marriage through intercourse. So it's sex. So here in ISUPK, we know that sex is marriage. You don't lay with somebody, you don't have sex with them unless you know that you're going to be married with them. Going on in this definition, it says, and continuously nourished by sexual intercourse, meaning keeping the marriage healthy by having sex regularly, and perfected in a lifelong partnership. It's lifelong. Akim, akwathium. It's life. Marriage is to the end. I know that they when you get married, and the little Christian pastor that reads the vows or whatever, they make it seem that you're getting ready to do something lifelong, but in the world, people get divorced here and there. Marriage is pretty much paperwork. It's a legal document because it ties belongings to each other. That's pretty much all we think marriage is. But marriage is having sex. It's having sex with if you're a brother, it's having sex with a sister, and that's gonna be your wife. If you're married to that woman, that's gonna be your wife forever. So now that we know what sex is, now that we know that sex is marriage, what is considered adultery? We're gonna get into that because today in this class I'm gonna be breaking down what I just broke down what marriage is. I'm gonna get more into it, but I'm gonna go into the unlawful marriages. They're not considered marriage because we just looked up in the Bible dictionary what marriage is. So marriage is pretty much sex. That's what we teach in the UPK. But there's unlawful sex as well. There's sex. There's homosexuality. There's rape. There's bestiality. There's incest. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna get into all of that, but right now we're talking about adultery. So I'm gonna bring my first scripture up, which is Luke, the book of Luke, chapter 16, verse 18. This is the book of Luke, chapter 16, verse 18. Whosoever putteth away his wife and marrieth another committeth adultery. And whosoever marrieth her that is put away from her husband committeth adultery. So the key word on this scripture right here, putteth away. Whosoever putteth away his wife and marrieth another commit adultery. If you marry a woman, it means if you have sex with a woman and then you put her away, and this scripture, when they say putting away, that means not deciding not to be with that woman for the rest of your life. Put her aside and not have her in your life anymore. When you put her away and you go marry somebody else, and that woman will most likely go and have sex with another man, both parties have committed adultery. You have committed adultery for putting away your wife, because that's what it says in this scripture right here. And whosoever marrieth her that is put away from her husband committeth adultery. And whoever lies with that woman that you put away, he committed adultery. So all three people have committed adultery at this point. Adultery is pretty much sex outside of marriage. We're gonna get more into it, but that's what adultery is. Because a marriage is when a woman becomes of the age to marry, which is a virgin, and that's another mistake that the Christian church leads us to believe, that a virgin is somebody that's never had sex. Here in the UPK, you know what I'm saying, before we came to the truth, before we came to the understanding of the law, statutes, and commandments, we may have laid with a woman, or our woman may have laid with a man. But when we come to the understanding of this law, our sisters are virgins at that point. And a virgin, I'm gonna bring out what a virgin is right now. Okay, this is the Zondervan Compact Bible Dictionary definition of virgin: a young unmarried woman. That's the first definition. The second definition is it is also used figuratively to personify a city or state. Okay, well, a young unmarried woman. In the scriptures, they use the word virgin a lot because when a woman is ready to be married, she's a virgin. When she's unmarried, she's a virgin. So I guess the way that the world does use the word as far as never having sex, that could constitute as a virgin. But men aren't virgins. Men are just men, but women, a young unmarried woman is a virgin. So once a woman has sex, and she has a husband, and she becomes a wife. But like we were saying, what adultery is a married woman that sleeps with another man. Because once you're married, you have to stay with that man forever. I'm going to bring up another scripture, 1 Corinthians 7:1. Okay, this is the book of 1 Corinthians, chapter 7, verse 1. Now concerning the things whereof ye wrote unto me, it is good for a man not to touch a woman. Verse 2. Nevertheless, to avoid fornication, let every man have his own wife, and let every woman have her own husband. So to avoid fornication, and as it says in verse 2, let every man have his own wife. So I'm gonna look up fornication. I'm not gonna look it up using the Zondervan, but fornication. I know what it means, but in the UPK we do our due diligence and we look up everything that we need understanding. This is the Google Dictionary definition of fornication: sexual intercourse between people not married to each other. So fornication is the same thing as adultery. It's when people that aren't married are having sexual intercourse. So adultery is a sin. And I'm gonna put it up in the law. This is a law class, so I'm gonna pull up the law that says that adultery is a sin. It's gonna be in Leviticus 20:10. Bear with me one moment. Okay. This is the book of Leviticus, chapter 20, verse 10. And the man that committeth adultery with another man's wife, even he that committeth adultery with his neighbor's wife, the adulterer and the adulteress shall surely be put to death. So in the Old Testament time, adultery was a sin that was punishable by death. Just like that time where the Pharisees and the Sadducees came to Christ, and they had the woman that was caught in the act of adultery, and they said, we caught her in the act. What should we do with her? Should we stone her? And Christ said, Christ he was showing mercy at that time. He was being a brother. What he said was, he that have no sin cast the first stone. And all of the people that were ready to stone that woman for committing adultery and get caught in the middle of the act, they had to walk away because they knew that they had sinned before. So then Christ told her to go and sin no more. But if it wasn't Christ, if Christ wasn't in that picture, in that scene, or in that circumstance, that woman would have gotten stoned to death, because adultery was a sin punishable by death. Going on. So a woman, once a woman is married, once a woman lies with a man, that's going to be her husband forever, until they both die. But there are some constraints to this. There are some circumstances where the woman would be able to marry again, and the man, on the other hand, I'm going to get into that right now. The man is biblically speaking, men can have multiple wives. We know that Jacob had 4 wives because the 12 tribes of Israel Jacob, whose name was later changed to Israel, he had 4 wives. His wives was Leah. His wives was, the other wife was Rachel, and then the handmaiden from each of those wives. Leah's maiden, and Rachel's handmaiden. I think their names, the handmaidens' name were like Bilia and it's like I'm gonna look it up again in the UPK. If we need to look up something, we don't double guess. We don't second guess ourselves. We look up what we need to look up. Okay, Jacob's 4 wives were Leah, Rachel, Bilhah, and Zilpah. Bilhah and Zilpah were the handmaidens of Leah and Rachel, and from those 4 women came the 12 tribes of Israel. And we know that Jacob he committed no sin. So for him to have multiple wives means multiple wives is of the Lord. And I'm going to pull up a scripture. I'm going to pull Isaiah 4:1. Okay, this is the book of Isaiah, chapter 4, verse 1. And in that day, 7 women shall take hold of one man, saying, we will eat our own bread and wear our own apparel. Only let us be called by thy name to take away our reproach. Okay, this is the prophet Isaiah speaking of the day of he said in that day, that's the day that Christ returns. And he said in that day, 7 women will take hold of one man, saying we will eat our own bread. We're gonna have all our food we're gonna take care of ourselves. We're gonna have our own food. We're gonna wear our own apparel. Only let us be called by thy name. Let us have your last name, not necessarily last name, because that's a more of a modernized the slave names that we have, our last names in the world. That's more of a thing in this captivity. But to be by thy name, it could be just that the household of Yabakan or the household of Yatzazak. They want that person's name, or they want that man's name, so that they could take away their reproach. Reproach, it means pretty much to all their burdens, all the burdens that they have. They need a man to be able to help them with their burdens, like in these days, in the days of the Old Testament and even the New Testament. You know what I'm saying? Having a man would be somebody to, you know what I'm saying, make sure that there's not only make sure that there's food on the table, but to defend the household. If there was a scrimmage or a war going about, or even just a regular burglar or a thief, the man will be able to protect the household. The man will be able to use his strength and his understanding and his knowledge to protect the women and the family, women and the children and the family. So that's what take away the approach is. And in that day when Christ returns, it's gonna be a pretty gruesome day. It's gonna be a day that's not pretty. Scriptures call it a terrible day, because it's that the word used to describe it is terrible. It's nothing pretty about it. In the Christian church, they describe that Judgment Day as a day where everybody is forgiven and we all make it to the kingdom of heaven. Christ is coming back to chop people's heads off. If they were doing sin like adultery, Christ is he's gonna cut your head off when he comes back. So in that day, you know what I'm saying, 7 women are gonna take hold of one man, just to take away their reproach, to make sure that they're protected when times get hard. And here in the UPK, you know what I'm saying, we do understand that some men can only handle one woman. You know what I'm saying? Again, this is a lifelong relationship. You know what I'm saying? And it has to be a healthy relationship too. So we understand that some men can only handle one woman. We don't say that you have to have multiple wives in the UPK. Scriptures say that you don't have to have multiple wives. You can if you're ready to have multiple wives, if you're wise enough and you have the let's say you have the fortitude to be able to handle multiple households, then go ahead and have multiple wives. But some men can't even have one wife. You know what I'm saying? It's not a law saying you have to have a wife, but multiple wives is lawful for a man to have. And now we're gonna go into the situation where a, the only situation where a woman would be able to have a different husband, because when a man has one wife or multiple wives, all of those women, or the only one woman, if it's only one, all of those women are his wives forever. He has to take care of all of them forever. That's why we say, you know what I'm saying, make sure you court the women before marrying them, before lying with them, to know what you're dealing with, to know what you're gonna have to deal with for the rest of your life. Courtship it's not only a custom of the UPK. It's not a custom. It's not only a custom, but it's a it's a I want to, for lack of a better word, commandment, but it's not commandment. It's a protocol. That's the word I'm looking for. It's a protocol in the UPK to court your women before marrying them, so you know what you're getting into. But women, you know what I'm saying, in the case that you become a widow, which means that your husband dies, then you are able to marry another woman. You are able to marry another man. And I'm going to pull that up right now. That's in the book of 1 Corinthians chapter 7 and 39. Okay, this is the book of 1 Corinthians chapter 7, verse 39. The wife is bound by the law as long as her husband liveth. That means the wife is bound. The wife is stuck with her husband by the law of the law of Moses, of the law of this Bible, as long as her husband liveth, as long as her husband is alive. But if her husband be dead, she is at liberty to be married to whom she will, only in the Lord. So, you know, so of course you'll mourn your husband, but after that mourning process, you're allowed to marry whoever you see fit. There are times in the Bible, the scriptures do suggest that if a man dies and he has a wife and that man has a brother, then in order to keep the seed of the man, you know what I'm saying, the seed of the seed of that man's household, you know what I'm saying, coming onto the earth, then that man's brother married the woman if that man were to die. But that again, that's if the woman wants to do that. So the wife, the widow, is not forced to marry the brother of the deceased man, but that is a suggestion that's often said in these scriptures, that's biblical, for the brother of the man to take on the wife of the brother of the deceased man, to take on the wife, to keep the seed of that family coming onto the earth. But again, I want to say that courtship is very important, because marriage is lifelong, and also, you know what I'm saying, these scriptures provide the wisdom necessary to keep a healthy marriage. You know what I'm saying? Even to those that are the wisdom is there for marriages of husbands with one wife to husbands with many wives. You know what I'm saying? These scriptures provide the wisdom to keep healthy marriages. And I'm gonna pull that out, pull a scripture out right now that's wisdom for a healthy marriage. Because what's wisdom? What the definition of wisdom is: the application of knowledge, and knowing the knowledge of these scriptures. The knowledge of these scriptures is one thing, but applying the knowledge is a whole nother thing. And that's what we teach here in the UPK. We teach the knowledge with hope that that our brothers and sisters will apply the knowledge. But I'm going now to the book of Ephesians. Salakia. I'm going to Ephesians 5 and 22. Okay. This is the book of Ephesians, chapter 5, verse 22. Wives, submit yourselves unto your own husbands as unto the Lord. I'm going to read the rest of this chapter. The rest of this chapter is all good information for households trying to keep a healthy marriage. It says, wives, submit yourselves unto your husbands as unto the Lord. That means, well, how do you submit yourself unto the Lord? By following all the laws, statutes, and commandments, doing what the Lord tells you to do, not breaking not one rule. That's the same way you have to submit yourself to your husband. If your husband wants you to have something done, then you make sure it's done. Verse 23, for the husband is the head of the wife, even as Christ is the head of the church, and he is the savior of the body. So the husband is the head of the wife as Christ is the head of the church. And it's going to go more into that. Verse 24, therefore, as the church is subject unto Christ, so let the wives be to their own husbands in everything. So how Christ not only loved but took care and he didn't rule, but Christ he loved, he took care of the church, and he definitely Christ he loved, he took care, and he for lack of a better word, I'm going to use the word rule over, but you know what I'm saying, his judgments were sound. You know, if he gave orders in the church to have something done, that's what was done. So he delegated. Yeah, he delegated in the church. So he loved the church and he delegated in the church. And that's what Christ was. So let the wives be to their own husbands in everything. Verse 25. Husbands, love your wives even as Christ also loved the church. That's what I was just saying. Christ loved the church. So now verse 25 is saying the way Christ loved the church, that's how husbands need to love their wives. Yeah, you could tell your wife what to do and have her do what you need to be done, what you need to have be done. But make sure that you love her. Make sure that you're there to have her back, to take away her reproach, because that's what the marriage is about. That's why she chose you as to be her husband. You know, so the way Christ loved the church, that's how you have to love your wife, man. You have to give first. I mean, you can't love anything more than the Most High. The loving the Most High with all your heart, all your mind, and all your soul is the greater of the most greatest of the commandments. But after loving the Most High, then you could love your wife at the most. You know what I'm saying? The love the Most High, love this truth. Here in the ISUPK, this truth is our first rib. That's what we like to say, because we make sure this truth, we make sure that we put all our work into this truth, and then you love your rib. You put all the work into what you have to have. You put everything that you have into your marriage. But I'm gonna keep going. Verse 25, husbands, love your wives, even as Christ also loved the church and gave himself for it. And give yourself for it. Give yourself to your wife. That means if need be, you have to make sacrifices, and yourself could be one of them. Verse 26, that he might sanctify and cleanse it with the washing of water by the word. Well, that's all there is on that. It goes on to speak into something else. But verse 22 through 25, That's the wisdom it has to marriage, to marry couples, to men trying to have a healthy household, a healthy marriage. And again, I'm gonna go back. I'm just gonna double down on the adultery. I'm gonna go to Proverbs 6:32. This is the book of Proverbs, chapter 6, verse 32. But whoso committeth adultery with a woman lacketh understanding. He that doeth it destroyeth his own soul. So here it's saying people that committeth adultery, people that are just out there sleeping around, they lacketh understanding. They don't know what they're doing. They don't know that the Most High is against that, and that's not a way to live. And also on top of that, you destroying your soul. It says, "He that doeth it destroyeth his own soul." Your soul is being destroyed. You're falling into the lust of the flesh. You know what I'm saying? You're not keeping the law. You're not being a dignified brother or dignified man. You're being carnal. You're being petty. You're carnal of the flesh. You're just giving in to the lust of your flesh. You see multiple women, you're gonna sleep with them, and you're gonna put them away, and then you're gonna sleep with more women. You're being a whoremonger, and that's not the way of the Lord. That's not how to be righteous. That's against the law. So now that we know a little bit about marriage, and we know about adultery as well, let's go into some other unlawful forms of sex. Now, this next thing I'm going to go into is going to be interracial marriage. That means again that these laws, statutes, and commandments were written for Israel. Israel is the only ones that need to follow these laws, statutes, and commandments. The East Indian man doesn't need to follow them. The African man doesn't need to follow them. So-called white man doesn't need to follow them. The Asian man, none of the other heathen nations need to follow these laws. If the heathen nations want to lay around and sleep around and commit adultery, they can do that. But these laws are for the Israel. So the next law I'm gonna get into is sleeping outside the nation, and I'm gonna go to Deuteronomy chapter 7:1. Slack you. Okay. This is the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 7, verse 1. When the Lord thy God shall bring thee into the land whither thou goest to possess it, and have cast out many nations before thee, the Hittites, and the Girgashites, and the Amorites, and the Canaanites, and the Perizzites, and the Hivites, and the Jebusites, 7 nations greater and mightier than thou. Okay, this is the part in time where the nation of Israel was coming. The Lord told us while we were in the wilderness to go and possess another land, and all of those nations that I just named were the land. Those were the inhabitants of the land that we had to go and possess. Verse 2. And when the Lord thy God shall deliver them before thee, thou shalt smite them and utterly destroy them. Thou shalt make no covenant with them, nor show mercy unto them. Make no covenant with them. That means when we go to take the land, we're going to do what the Lord wants to do. We're going to show them no mercy. We're gonna defeat them at war, because this book is about war. Contrary to the popular Christian belief, you know what I'm saying, this book isn't about just peace on earth and Jesus Christ coming down to save everybody, and God loves everybody. This book has wars in it. This book is about the Israelites, the wars that the Israelites went through, and captivities, and captivities after wars, which means slaveries, captivities that the Israelites went into after wars, and them being captive, and who's going to be in captivity, who's going to be in captivity after the Israelites are on top. And I'm going to go into verse 3. Neither shalt thou make marriages with them. Thy daughters, that's like it. Thy daughter thou shalt not give unto his son, nor his daughter shalt thou take unto thy son. So that was this it's always been Israelite custom to not marry other nations, and I'm gonna get into that too. But that's Salaki. Shalom on Christ. Concert. I'll teach class. Kind of. Sorry, law class. Kind of, sir. Oh, you want me to call him right now? Because I'm in the middle of my class right now. You want me to call him right now? Kind of, sir. I'll call him. I'll call because I have it now. See if he's gonna make it after my class, sir. Kind of, sir. Shalom on Christ, sir. Salakium, Akim, and Aquathium. I had to take that call, but we were getting into the marriages of other nations. Now it says in Deuteronomy chapter 7 verse 3, neither shalt thou make marriages with them. Don't make marriages with the heathens or the inhabitants of the land that you going to go smite and take their land. Don't make marriages with them, because it's always been, even since before the Israel and the Adamites, which I'm going to get into as well in Genesis, because when we were the Adamites, that's why the Most High flooded the whole earth, because we were sleeping with other nations. We were this was before Israel, but we were still God's chosen people, and it's always been custom of God's chosen people to not sleep with other heathens, not sleep with other nations, to stay within the realm of God's chosen people. And when we were the Adamites, I'm going to bring that up right now in the book of Genesis, chapter 6, verse 1. All right, here it is. This is the book of Genesis, chapter 6, verse 1. And it came to pass, when men began to multiply on the face of the earth, and daughters were born unto them. Verse 2, that the sons of God saw the daughters of men, that they were fair, and they took them wives of all which they choose. So the Adamites, the Adam, now that's another cut right there. That lets you know that Adam wasn't the only man on earth. There were other people around Adam. So when the sons of Adam saw that they were up, they started sleeping with the people that weren't the sons of God. The Adamites started sleeping with the people that weren't the sons of God, that weren't Adamites, that didn't come from Adam and Eve, that weren't Adam had multiple sons, but they weren't from they weren't Adamites. So like they weren't of the Adamites. They weren't in that family of God's chosen people. Verse 3. And the Lord said, my spirit shall not always strive with man, for that he also is flesh, yet his days shall be 120 years. That's the Lord saying that he's like, damn, like I can't believe my chosen people are sleeping outside of their race, sleeping with heathen nations. He's saying that his spirit shall not always strive with man for that. And later he went ahead to it got so out of hand, the interracial marriages, God's chosen lineage, sleeping outside of their race. It got so out of hand that God had to flood the whole earth except for 8 people. That's why Noah built the ark, because interracial marriage, that's how you know that's a serious offense of the Most High, sleeping outside of your nation. You know, and we also learn from the mistake of Solomon, because Solomon had interracial marriages. He was the wisest man to ever walk the face of the earth. You know what I'm saying? He was the son of King David. He was a king too, but he had faults. He did transgress. He slept outside of Israel, and we learned from his mistake, because him sleeping with those other nations, that we saw that separated him from the Most High. You know what I'm saying? He started building altars, and because he'd have a Moabite wife, his wife would praise her Moabite god or something like that, and then he would have altars built for her wife, because it is still his wife. You know what I'm saying? He does have to take away her reproach, so he would have a altar built for the god of Moab, just because his wife is a Moabite. So it's separating him slowly from the Most High. He's serving other gods, and that's a big no-no. And at that point in time, the Most High split the kingdom. The Most High split the kingdom of Israel into the northern kingdom and the southern kingdom, all because of Solomon having interracial marriages. So that's another unlawful sex act. Now I'm gonna get into some of the others. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna go into homosexuality, bestiality, incest. All of these could be found in Leviticus 20, or because Leviticus 20 through 10, Leviticus 20 and 10 through 17. That gives you Leviticus 20 is pretty much the meat of sexuality, lawful. Like it's showing what's lawful and what's not lawful, and as far as sexuality. We're going to go to it now. Leviticus 20 and 10, we brought that out earlier. That had the adultery in it, but it has more in Leviticus 20 as well. And that's what we're going to go into now. Okay, this is the book of Leviticus, chapter 20, verse 10. That's like I'm in the wrong book. Okay, this is the book of Leviticus, chapter 20, verse 10. And the man that committeth adultery with another man's wife, even he that committeth adultery with his neighbor's wife, the adulterer and the adulteress shall surely be put to death. Okay, that's adultery. You know, that's not of the Lord, and that's against the law of the Lord. Going on, verse 11. And the man that lieth with his father's wife hath uncovered his father's nakedness. Both of them shall surely be put to death. Their blood shall be upon them. It's a little bit incest, but more so is this also adultery, because your father could have a wife that's not your mother. So pretty much that's adultery. Don't lay with your father's other wives. That's punishable by death. Verse 12. And if a man lie with his daughter-in-law, both of them shall surely be put to death. They have wrought confusion. Their blood shall be upon them. If a man lay with his daughter-in-law, that means if you marry a woman and then your wife already had a daughter, and you lay with your daughter-in-law, then that's incest. That's not of the law. That's punishable by death as well. Verse 13. If a man also lie with mankind, as he lieth with a woman, both of them have committed an abomination. The Lord said that's an abomination to lie with. If a man lie with mankind as if he lay with a woman, that means homosexuality. Homosexuality is an abomination. And it goes on to say, they shall surely be put to death. Their blood shall be upon them. Homosexuality was a sin that was punishable by death. Back in the day, even in America, in early America, homosexuality was looked at as a mental illness. You know what I'm saying? It's only in today's time, you know what I'm saying, how this wicked society has turned into what it is today, where homosexuality is a lifestyle choice. You know what I'm saying? Where we see that laying with another man who genetically and biologically we're not even supposed to lay with each other, but we see it as a lifestyle choice. We see it sexuality. He can do that if he wants to do, or he can even go as far as to have a household with this person, and not only marry them as the sense of the word, lay with them, but marry them as to have a household with them, and that paperwork that I was talking about earlier, be married by paperwork of the law of this land. That's only in today's society that homosexuality is something that's not a sin, that's not punishable by death. You know what I'm saying? Because in the law, in this law, the law of Moses and the law of this Bible and the law of our God, being Israelites, black man, Hispanic man, Native American man, you are not supposed to be homosexual. And I'm gonna go on because it goes for women too. I'm on verse 13. I'm still like it, verse 14. And if a man take a wife and her mother, it is wickedness. They shall be burnt with fire. If a man take a wife and her mother, that means if you it's like y'all, I wanted to read women laying with womankind. I guess that's not in this. That's probably in Leviticus 18, most likely Leviticus 18, because it also doubled that. This Leviticus 20 is the double down from Leviticus 18 uh, of these sexuality laws. And in Leviticus 18, it also says that man can't lie with mankind and women can't lie with womankind. It's an abomination. But you get the idea. I'm gonna read verse 13 one more time. If a man also lie with mankind as he lieth with a woman, both of them have committed an abomination. They shall surely be put to death. Their blood shall be upon them. So pretty much, you know what I'm saying, you're not supposed to be homosexual. And I was just getting into verse 14. And if a man take a wife and her mother, it is wickedness. They shall be burnt with fire. Both he and they are that there be no wickedness among you. You can't marry a woman and her mother too. You know what I'm saying? It might not sound like incest, but it's against the law of the Lord. It's incest according to the most high. Uh, verse 15. And if a man lie with a beast, he shall surely be put to death, and ye shall slay the beast. So that's bestiality right there. If a man shall lay with a beast, man, and it's so heavy because it says the beast shall be even slain. It's such a wicked atrocity that not only the man be put to death after committing a bestiality, but the beast has to be slain. And I'm sure that beast is unclean. You know what I'm saying? Ain't gonna have no feast with that beast. Ain't gonna be eating that beast after that went down. So both the man and beast are put away with after bestiality has been committed. In verse 16, and if a woman approach unto any beast and lie down thereto, thou shalt kill the woman and the beast. They shall surely be put to death. Their blood shall be upon them. Yeah, again, man, bestiality. I mean, it sounds like an obvious sin, But you know what I'm saying? These heathen nations, we do take on these heathen customs. You know what I'm saying? So, you know what I'm saying? It's disgusting to even think about, but it goes on. And you know what I'm saying? Back in the times of the Old Testament and even the New Testament, bestiality was a sin punishable by death. Now, you know what I'm saying? If you commit any of these sins, these marriage sins or these sexuality sins, these unlawful sex acts, you're just not going to inherit the kingdom of heaven. You will be punished by you. The Most High will see you. The Most High he'll probably give you an STD, or he'll probably send some type of plague to you, monkeypox. He'll deal with you in some type of way, but you know what I'm saying? We don't get stoned anymore. Is the point that I'm trying to make? We don't get stoned anymore by getting caught in the act of these. And I'm gonna go to Leviticus 18:6 really quick because I wanted to double down on the incest. This is the book of Leviticus, chapter 18, verse 6. None of you shall approach to any that is near kin to him to uncover their nakedness. I am the Lord. That pretty much says it right there. You know what I'm saying? Even, and it says that is near of kin to you. You know what I'm saying? If it's kin to you or if it's near of kin to you, you don't approach them and you don't uncover their nakedness. That's what the Lord said not to do. That take incest out. That take sleeping cousins, all that wicked stuff that this nation has going on. All of those are unlawful. And finally, I'm going to get into rape. Rape. You would think that rape is another one of those obvious sins, but I have heard that some of those fake Israelite groups. That's why we in the I.S.U.P.K. we say that we are not affiliated with any other Israelite group, because some of them other Israelite group they use this word, they use the Bible, they use these scriptures and come up with it's okay to force yourself on a woman and sleep with her and marry her. That's not of the law. That's why I'm gonna bring out rape. You can't force yourself upon a woman and marry her. And I'm gonna bring that out right now. We're going to Deuteronomy 22 and 23. Okay, this is the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 22, verse 23. If a damsel that is a virgin be betrothed unto an husband, and a man find her in the city and lie with her. So if it's an unmarried woman, it's like it. If a damsel, let's look up damsel really fast. Because again, in the UPK, we don't guess. If we have a question about something, we look it up. Okay, that's the same thing as a virgin, a damsel. This is the Google Dictionary definition of damsel, a young unmarried woman. That's what a damsel is. So here it says, if a damsel that is a virgin be betrothed, that's another word I'm gonna look up, betrothed. This is the Google Dictionary definition of betrothed. The person whom one is engaged. It's like you're engaged. Also promised. So if a damsel, unmarried woman that is a virgin, be betrothed unto a husband, and a man find her in the city and lie with her. So if a woman was engaged to a man and if somebody find her and lay with her, then verse 24, then ye shall bring them both out unto the gate of that city, and ye shall stone them with stones that they die. The damsel, because she cried not, being in the city, and the man, because he hath not humbled his neighbor's wife, so thou shalt put away evil from among you. So if the woman that said they both be stoned, the woman is being stoned because she didn't say, hey, I'm engaged. I have a husband I have a man that's supposed to be my husband. And the man for just sleeping with whoever, that's how they both be stoned. But verse 25, but if a man find a betrothed damsel in the field, and the man force her and lie with her, then the man only that lay with her shall die. Then the man that if you force yourself upon a wife or a woman that's engaged to another man, then that's rape and that's punishable by death. So I just wanted to get into that really quick. You know, these have this has been this law class has been I pretty much brought out adultery. I pretty much brought out adultery, homosexuality, bestiality, incest, and rape, as well as interracial marriage. Those are the unlawful sexual acts. And then marriage, we brought out early in today's lesson. Marriage is pretty much sex with a woman. It's a lifelong bound. You bound lifelong with that woman, and you can't. And again, interracial marriage is a sin. So it has to be a woman of who's Israel, who is of Israel. You have 12 tribes to choose from: black man, Hispanic man, Native American man. Pick whichever tribe you want. All our sisters are beautiful from all 12 tribes, from Judah all the way to Issachar, which is the Negroes, all the way to the Mexicans, Northern Kingdom and Southern Kingdom. All our women are beautiful. But yeah, you can't lay outside your nation, and when you do lay with a woman, that is your wife forever. So it would be wise of you to have a courtship with that woman, get to know that woman, and find out if that woman is gonna be a right pick for you, and either and the other side too, sisters, find out if that man is gonna be a right pick for you for the rest of your life. So with that, I'm just gonna bring on one last scripture, Matthew 5:28. This is the book of Matthew, chapter 5, verse 28. But I say unto you that whosoever looketh on a woman to lust after her hath committed adultery with her already in his heart. Now, this is Christ talking. I bring this scripture out to say it's not only the act of adultery that's a sin, but this is Christ saying that even if you look at a woman to lust after her, if you look at a woman to lust after her, like, man, she fine right there. The things I do to her, then you already committed adultery in your heart. That's what Christ is saying. Christ is saying not only walk the straight and narrow of not committing the act, but keep your mind, keep your spirit intact too. I mean, it's like you're on track. Keep your spirit on track of having the right attitude. Don't be looking at your sisters out here just like they a piece of meat. You know what I'm saying? For lack of better words, you know what I'm saying? Like damn, she fine. Like, you know what I'm saying? You can acknowledge somebody for being pretty, but don't lust after them. Don't lust after them, because that sister might be married. You know what I'm saying? You never know. And that's what Christ is saying here. You already committed adultery with her in your heart. So we have to come out of the ways of this empire, man. We can't be sleeping around and these little Christmas parties. This time of the year is a horrible time for this, man. You know what I'm saying? Because all these parties, these Christmas parties, these New Year's parties, these club events, you know what I'm saying? We out here sleeping around, and we got to remember that's not our custom, man. That's not our law. Doing these wicked ways are of the heathen, and we have laws, statutes, and commandments that say we're not supposed to be that way. But that's all I got on that. I'm gonna end class with that. I'm gonna read the announcements. Security announcements. We are the ISUPK, started out of 1 West, 125th Street, Harlem, New York. Rule for new brother and sister. When a new brother or sister comes to the school, they are off limits for 6 months. They are to be saluted only. They are here to shed themselves of the world. If they need transportation, the teacher will arrange it. After 6 months, if a brother or sister has an interest in a particular person, he or she must get permission from the head to speak to a brother or sister. There is another 6 months in which the brother and sister will court each other. After this 6-month period, the brother and sister will get permission from the head to marry. Tithes, which is a commandment. Numbers 18 and 21 and Malachi 3 and 8 through 10 means 10th in the Hebrew. Ma'asharah, 10% of every penny of any increase the Lord gives you, give the Treasury Department or teacher. Priest fund, free will offering for priests, not mandatory, whatsoever amount you would like. Upcoming holy convocations. Purim, 14th day and the 15th day of the 12th month. Sunday, the 5th of March, and Monday, the 6th of March. March 2023, from the book of Esther, chapter 9 and 20 through 31. If anyone wants to be a trooper in the school, start wearing all black, boots, shirt, pants, headband, or scarf. And that concludes the security announcements. We're going to end class. Men of Israel, Amajim. Sisters, Imajim too. Imajim, which means Imad Yum, which means to stand in the Hebrew. We're going to start, turn and face the east. We're going to say the Lord's Prayer in the Hebrew first, then the English. Abanawa, Shabbat Shemayim, Kodash, Hayah, Shamka, Yahweh, Malakwaka, Taba'ah, Ratazaka, Hayah, Aisha, Ba'rataza, Kowa, Hayah, Bashamayim, Naklanawa, Lakam, Ka, Yawam, Waslaknawa, Kawwathnawa, Kaslaknawa, Kawalathina, Wala'a, Taba'ayanawa, Banasayawan, Abal, Awashayanawa, Mayan, Rai, Kaya, Laka, Abalakwa, Waha'Allah, Wahasa Parath, La'ai Walamium, Aman, in the English, Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name, Yahweh, thy kingdom come, thy will be done, in earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts, as we forgive our debtors, and lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory, forever. So be it. Tsar, turn and face the front. Men of Israel, Imajin Shabbat, Imajin, Barak, Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahweh Shabbarakatah, Yadin Matah. Tsar, turn and face the sisters. Men of Israel, Imajin Shabbat, Imajin, Barak, Yahweh Shamar Lathan Ba'ashim Yahweh Shah, Yadin Matah. Dismissed.